Two moments, two worlds. On July 6, 1535, a man chose silence and paid for it with his life. On July 6, 1785, a nation chose a coin and set in motion an empire of trade. This is the unlikely tale of how one date binds two fates: the death of Utopia and the birth of the dollar. Sir Thomas More was a man of letters and law. As author of Utopia, he imagined a world of reason, equality, and moral justice. But in the real world, he was a high-ranking advisor to King Henry VIII. When the king broke from the Catholic Church to form his own, the Church of England, More refused to support. He would not take the oath that recognized the king as head of the church. More didn't preach rebellion. He simply stayed silent. But in an era of absolute power, silence itself became a crime. After over a year in the Tower of London, he was put on trial. And on July 6, 1535, he was executed, dignified to the end. He said, "I die the king's good servant, but God's first." And in doing so, he became a martyr, not for rebellion, but for conscience. Fast forward 250 years. It's July 6, 1785. The United States of America, a nation still in its infancy, faces a problem: what currency should it adopt? They rejected the British pound. They ignored the French livre. Instead, they chose a name that was already familiar to many: the dollar. The word dollar comes from the German Thaler, short for Joachimsthaler, a silver coin first minted in Bohemia in the 16th century. The Spanish pieces of 8, widely used in colonial America, were modeled on the thaler. So when Congress chose the dollar, they were picking a name and a shape that the people already trusted. More revolutionary than the name was the structure. The US dollar would be based on a decimal system: $1, 100 cents. In a world used to 12s, 13s, and random fractions, this was a bold move. And it made trade, accounting, and taxation vastly simpler. It was Enlightenment thinking in action, reason over tradition. On one July 6, a man died defending his beliefs. On another, a government chose clarity and progress over tradition. They seem worlds apart, but both acts shaped the world in their own way. History doesn't always give us neat parallels. But sometimes, it gives us dates like July 6th, where two moments, vastly different, remind us of what drives civilization forward: conscience and structure, principles and systems. Utopia died. The dollar was born. And between them lies the story of who we are and who we hope to become.